Virus outbreak globally is raising lots of questions for some air travelers, but not everyone is concerned enough to actually cancel their trips. KOMO's Suzanne Fawn takes us a look.
Coronavirus may be all over the news, but it's not stopping or slowing down travelers we talked to at SeaTac International Airport today.
It hasn't changed anything.
I'm not concerned. I just have some hand sanitizer.
It's on our minds, but we're just taking the normal precautions.
Even though coronavirus has led to thousands of canceled flights worldwide, local travel experts are not necessarily seeing a slowdown.
We specialize in international, specifically Australia and New Zealand travel.
A travel team in Queen Anne, concerns about coronavirus have not created problems for their travelers.
We haven't actually really seen any cancellations.
Travel expert Steve Danishek says for most travelers, it's a period of wait and see.
They're assessing things the same way we saw with SARS and MERS and Ebola and Zika and everything else. They're waiting to see. They want to see exactly how far this is going, how serious it is, whether it's going to affect them.
Not everyone is thinking twice about traveling out of the country. Will it affect any of your travel plans, whether it's locally, domestically, or internationally?
No, because I plan to go to Greece in August, so I'm not worried about it at all.
Many major U.S. airlines like United, American, and Delta have suspended flights to mainland China and Hong Kong. Meanwhile, carriers like Alaska Airlines are waiving change and cancellation fees for some routes because of concerns about the virus. Alaska Airlines says its waived fees apply to bookings made from February 27th through March 11th for travel through June 1st.
Planning a trip that involves airfares, cruises, hotels, and other expenses, do not assume Standard Travel Insurance will reimburse you for cancellations that are linked to coronavirus. Consumer problem solver Connie Thompson says the rules are changing almost daily. Connie?
Yeah, they really are, Mary. Travel insurance companies' phones and websites are overloaded with questions right now. A lot of you want to be able to get refunds if you change your mind or part of your trip is interrupted because of COVID-19. Part of the problem is in many cases, coronavirus is excluded as a covered event because it's a known risk. If you buy standard travel insurance for your trip, you're still covered for unforeseen events that are not linked to coronavirus. That's the kind of coverage that helped Adam Uri and his wife during a trip to Thailand when he broke his foot. His medical bill came to $1,000.
I went to the hospital, paid for everything out of pocket or a credit card. And then a couple months later, after submitting all the documentation, I got reimbursed for the cost of that.
In general, because coronavirus is a known risk, most standard travel insurance covers trip interruptions and cancellations for reasons other than coronavirus. So your best bet is for compensation coverage called Cancel for Any Reason. With Cancel for Any Reason insurance, you have to buy the policy between 5 and 21 days of your first deposit. That depends on the company. And the cost is between 5 and 10% of the price of your entire trip. Go online and you'll find dozens of companies that sell travel insurance, so it's important to compare both cost and coverage terms and conditions.
We're calling it a floating Nicholsville, and it's an example of a new problem that our city is facing.
A pair of boats that neighbors and boaters allege was a floating homeless camp was removed at taxpayers' expense. KOMO's Matt Markovich is at Adams Beach on the west shore of Lake Washington. And Matt, it's costing the city a lot more to remove a derelict boat than a derelict RV.
That indeed, Mary. In our reporting last year in Project Seattle, we reported that derelict RVs were taken to Ferndale, Washington, 90 miles away, and destroyed roughly $2,000 each. This particular derelict boat, more than $42,000, and take a look where it went. The two boats became stuck in late October. Are you stuck here?
Yes, we're stuck here at the moment until we can get more power.
One boat, the Can of Worms, yes, that's its name, ran aground. Do you need help?
We're not homeless.
But evidence, according to neighbors, showed otherwise. A power line from an onshore generator running to the Can of Worms, garbage strewn about the shore. I had to yell at the boat's owner.
Very frustrating because the only thing I lack is electricity. If I had electricity, these would be gone in 48 hours.
But that was 3 months ago. Now, this week, Bob Brown took pictures of the Can of Worms being hauled out of the water at city expense. Wonders why it took so long.
They tend to drag their feet if there's any connotation that it may involve the homeless.
The vessel's registration shows the owner, Michael Gilbertson, paid $10 grand for it, but it's costing the city of Seattle $42,450 to pull it out of the water, haul it 107 miles to Yakima because that's where the contractor that won the bid is located and is now sitting in its yard waiting to be destroyed.
Whether it's the recent debacle with the Iowa caucuses or the threat of hackers interfering, voter confidence has been shaken for the upcoming presidential primaries.
It's definitely concerning, especially just how complicated it got in Iowa. It's very surprising to me that it was so disorganized. I do it like the old-fashioned way.
That's why Washington state and county elections leaders teamed up at a forum to tackle elections and ballot security.
In Washington state, cybersecurity has been at the forefront of our concern going back 20 years.
Washington state has gone high-tech by forming a cybersecurity team. Justin Burns is the Chief Information Security Officer for the Secretary of State. He says in this day and age, the threat to elections is on every level.
We think about cybersecurity and the threat to elections and people coming over the internet, but the threat is physical, it's digital, and it's social.
King County Elections Director Julie Weiss says they're using a multi-layered system to stop hackers.
What I really love about our physical security is it's layers and layers upon layers.
Physical security features cameras at the facility 24/7, and the room is locked by a security badge and a biometric fingerprint. And cybersecurity, the results are tabulated in a secure room not connected to the internet.
That's all we've been focusing on, is trying to instill confidence in the electorate that Washington's elections are secure. The counties have worked hard to secure their infrastructure.
Michael Maury cast his ballot in Capitol Hill, saying he trusts the old-fashioned way, using paper.
I think it's a pretty effective system. The ability to have the paper ballots and be able to physically put it into the box is reassuring.
Now in King County, they expect an 82% turnout for this November's presidential election, and elections officials say they encourage the public to come out to the facility and take a tour and see a first-hand look of how they do that entire process.